You're watching the Space Podcast Network. I am your producer, Alex Henshaw. In this episode, Mike Cameron sits down with Ginette Goulet and has a conversation on the topic of identity.
Hey, welcome back to the Joy and Resilience Practice podcast. Today is episode 7. The title is The Identity Shift. The Joy and Resilience Practice, helping you thrive one story at a time. Rooted in joy, rising in resilience. I'm Mike Cameron. Today's conversation is about change. Not just changing jobs or moving to a new place, but the deeper kind of change. The kind that makes you ask, who am I now? Because throughout our lives, we wear many different titles. Teacher, parent, partner, leader, coach, caregiver, volunteer, student, employee, entrepreneur. And while those titles matter, they aren't the whole story. Sometimes life changes unexpectedly. A career ends, children grow up, relationships change, retirement arrives, health shifts, dreams evolve, and suddenly we're invited to rediscover ourselves. Not because we've lost who we are, but because we're becoming someone new. Let's be honest. Most of us like growth, as long as it doesn't involve change. What do you think, Ginette?
Yes.
Today, we're exploring what happens when life invites us into a new season and how resilience helps us step into it with curiosity instead of fear. Let's get into it. Here's my first reflection. Before we meet today's guest, I want to share something I've been reflecting on. Over the years, I've introduced myself in many ways. Teacher, program manager, coach, volunteer, podcaster, founder, and every one of those roles has shaped me, but none of them fully defines me. I've learned that when our identity becomes completely wrapped up in what we do, change can feel terrifying. But if the role changes, we wonder whether we've changed too. Maybe you've experienced that. Maybe you're standing at the beginning of something new, or letting go of something familiar. If so, I hope today's conversation reminds you that your worth has never depended on your title. It's always been rooted in who you are. Today, I'm so excited to say I'm joined by my guest, Ginette Goulet, someone who has experienced meaningful life transitions and discovered that change isn't always about losing yourself. Sometimes it's about how you find yourself again. Bonne journée, Ginette. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, merci, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so glad you're here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great today.
You're doing well. Ginette, would you introduce to our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, as Mike said, I'm Ginette Goulet. I live in Wolfville for the past 7 years, moved here from Ontario. Out of a whim, I chose to engage in this chapter. I just turned 68 years old and decided that where would I love to live? And the last time I had been in Nova Scotia, I had told myself, if ever one day it would happen. One day I will live in Nova Scotia. And I chose Wolfville, and I'm very happy there.
Wonderful, welcoming Wolfville.
Thank you. Right. And I've been most of my life, I'm still working as a community consultant. Mm-hmm. I've always worked with not-for-profit agencies, especially in the community mental health and addictions, and most recently moving on to family resources. And so my heart is in supporting the not-for-profit sector of our world.
Right, and that's how we've crossed paths.
That's how we've crossed
paths. Working on the project we're doing together for the OHS, for the resource centers.
Yes.
Would you tell us a little bit about where you did move from, Ginette?
I moved from Eastern Ontario, and my originating family comes from Quebec, the province of Quebec. I grew up bilingual, and so Eastern Ontario was, my battleground. And I've always been involved in my community. Right now, I'm, a Mud Creek Rotary Club
Right, yes,
member.
that's wonderful.
I'm on the board of L'Arche Home Fires. I love being where the people are. And how can I be of service? That is my mission.
Will you say that again?
How can I be of
service?
service?
That's wonderful.
Yes, and so that mindset attracts people in your life.
Right.
Attracts
agree.
people who are of the same mindset. And so I've been involved in many community activities, and it makes for a rich life that I have.
Right. And so I know a bit through our conversations over
Yes.
the past 6 months or so in particular. How would you think, when I mentioned earlier this sort of title, our titles may change, our values can remain? Where would you relate to that to your life experience, Ginette?
Well, when I say that I'm a community consultant, that appears to be a job,
Right.
right? I have clients and I'm their consultant.
Correct. Yes.
However, I would say, and I really appreciate the question, I would say that I'm a consultant at heart.
Consultant at heart.
Yes, so that means, people can come to me
Okay.
for assistance, friendship. It's the bigger consulting of life, whereas and when I'm a consultant, I am also consulting,
Oh, interesting.
right?
Both sides.
Right, both sides. And I can say with a certain guarantee that I would not be who I am today without accepting to be consulted with.
Consulted with.
Yes, and allowing other people's experience to nourish me.
So, what I'm hearing and my experience with you is, where would you say, being a consultant, I know that you have really great listening skills. Where did that come from? Was that always part of you, Ginette? Was that something you developed, or is that part of a family upbringing? Where did that skill set come from?
I would say none of that.
No.
I grew up in a very French-Canadian family, very highly productive, and that was the theme of our life is, to be totally active in our community, in our work,
Okay.
and
So
in
that's
our
laying the
hobbies.
foundation, yes.
Yes, and listening, what was that? I don't even remember, that was a thing.
Right.
Right? But in my first community consulting job,
Okay.
it was actually a job, and that was our title, we got a listening workshop.
Okay.
And it just blew my mind. It just, it's not about communicating, speaking to someone.
Right.
Because I can do that all day.
Yes.
It's about allowing and building on what others have to say and
Right.
think. And it wasn't always perfect in the beginning, but I still to this day am being coached and taking training and exactly that.
On that particular skill set.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'd like to share is during COVID, during a global
yes, the COVID
conference.
time,
Yeah,
yes.
a global conference, and one of the workshops was about listening. And the moderator said, "Do you listen to the end?"
Okay.
So someone's speaking, and most of us already have something to say.
Ready for the response.
Or it might be a response, or we add, or we totally take off on another tangent, right? And that took us, because we were about, graduates of this, and And so I practiced once. The next call I got was from my family, and I practiced with my brother, and he was talking, and I gave him a second.
Okay.
And he was so not used to it. He says, "Are you there?"
You were on the phone?
I was on the phone.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, "Yes, I just want to make sure that you have the chance to finish what you're saying.
I've heard you to the end.
I've heard you to the end
Wow,
and
okay.
beyond." And sometimes, like, most people are so uncomfortable with that.
Right.
So that's like where the listening teachings are going, is like going beyond listening, like allowing the space. For people
Right.
to continue. And that shows them that you are listening.
Right. If you
Right.
can actually give them the space.
Because I always thought that if I'm on the same subject as you, that means you know I'm listening.
Right. And,
But it's not true
right.
necessarily.
And I've been in, like yourself, many different situations, and I have found, like, hey, I remember the same thing. I had a teacher's degree, you're in those classes, you're in different groups and committees. And nowadays, I'm finding when you sit back for a second and look, I'm like, what's happening in this meeting? If you don't have a process, a procedure, an understanding that I may not have the same opinion of you, but how do I know that if I don't listen till the end? If I'm just going to jump in at this point, and I find meetings go off in different directions, can go off. I shouldn't say all the time. You do have groups that do that. So listening to that,
Yes.
I want to ask you if listening's part of your career, one of the skills with being a consultant. Would you say your identity has changed over time from the time you lived in Eastern Ontario to moving to, like, what would you literally identify, Ginette, that might have changed?
Well, I would say that mostly as a community active person, that has not changed.
Okay.
So that I've always, we grew up being, volunteering is just part of my life. What has changed is I can say within my own network here and abroad that one of my identities has evolved to more of a public identity, and it's around...
Okay, public.
Yes, because I grew up loving design and clothing.
Okay,
and,
right.
And
Yes.
my mother's a fashion plate, and I just grew up that way. And
So you were immersed in it.
I
It
was
part of
immersed
your
in it,
stuff.
and
Yes.
so I love sewing. I love clothing, and I've owned a high-end consignment store because I believe in thrifting clothing. I believe in educating and training women to have the best wardrobe they could have, that they love. And so since I've been here, I've done workshops. I'm writing in the Grapevine every
yes, the Grapevine
month
articles, yes.
about thrifting. People are starting to ask me to go to their home and help them purge their
wow.
closets. But that was always a personal thing. Just very...
So that's where that personal to public
Yes,
sort of
the personal
has
to public.
arrived, the identity change.
People started commenting on, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I did all the thrift stores in Lower Sackville. I did all the thrift stores in Dartmouth. And they went, well, you do that? I went, I do that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. And I know and I have done research. I've done research with Acadia on the subject of thrifting.
Right.
And so, and I've done a YouTube video on thrifting. And so that identity has evolved, and I had moments where I was going, I felt like a fraud. Like, who do you think you are, Ginette?
yes, okay.
Like, who are you? Like you're not the expert in the world.
Yeah, imposter syndrome appears.
Imposter syndrome is the word
Yes.
I was looking for. But I received coaching on this.
Okay.
I know what I know.
I know what I know.
I
love
know
that.
what I know, and what I know is what I share.
Right.
And I am researching, I'm collecting data on this. I participate in the Environment Day of the Rotary Environment Day. We have a presentation on the subject.
Right.
And so it's about sharing.
Yeah, and I can feel you talking. The passion is
Yes.
coming right from here.
Yes.
On that topic.
Yes, yes.
I think it's important. You and I have talked about this a bit. Can you wrap into your thrifting, how that actually helps with resilience and joy? Because as you're speaking about it, you're actually smiling
Yes,
when you're
yes.
talking about
Yes.
thrifting.
Yes, well, when I think of resilience, I would think, if I think of myself, in my family, I've got like the tagline, the most resilient child in the family, like a lot
okay.
of stuff has happened, I bounce back, right? But what I've discovered recently over the last year or so is that resilience has degrees. And we don't always think of that.
Right.
We think of bouncing back to what was. We think of bouncing back to who or what we were.
Or previously,
But
yes.
resilience can also be draining. Like you bounce back, but you're not bouncing back to where, you're just bouncing
previous,
back.
yeah.
You're just bouncing back. You feel better, but you're not feeling great. You're doing better, but you're not doing great. You're resilient.
Yes.
And so I like the moniker of joy and resilience because when I share,
Yes.
and I find that all solutions are found in sharing. I am not the encyclopedia of solutions. So in sharing and allowing people to learn about you,
Yes.
and sharing recently, I've talked about my mental health to my doctor,
Okay.
dealing with that, and I've worked in community mental health most of my life, and and it's okay because I take some medication, right,
Right.
for my thyroid,
Yes, so
right,
do I.
and I take a baby aspirin, and so the joy in that is that I have support. That's where I find joy.
The
Right?
network. Yes.
Yeah, the network and the people go, way to go, Ginette, good for you. And so the opposite of joy is when you're isolated and it's all in your head,
Yes.
and you think you live in shame or guilt, or you
Guilt and
think you're
fear,
wrong,
yes.
right?
Yep.
And when you open your mouth and share what you're living as a human being, what you're experiencing, oh my God, 9 times out of 10, the person has either experienced it also or knows someone, and you're not alone.
Or we go back to, what do you want me to do, Ginette? Do you
Yeah.
want me to sit and listen? And
Yeah.
when you get to the end, do you want me to say anything? Or am I
Yeah.
just listening?
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
I think when you're talking about that, I'd like to ask, you talked about some transition. What has that taught you? What has that taught you about the change? Like you said, you've gone to the doctor.
Yeah. Well, the change, if I look at the decades of my life, 20s, 30s, I would stay stuck,
Stay stuck.
stuck for either months or years in whatever was going through my brain. And now, because my mantra is sharing.
Sharing. Yes.
Sharing, and be in communication with
Yeah.
whoever.
Right.
Right? And so I have actually said that recently. I've got a group that I speak with for the last 10 years.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, I actually
Right.
have 3 groups that we speak regularly, and our purpose is to look at, what's not working and what has been working. And one of the things we noticed is that we're not staying stuck as long.
You're changing the status quo.
Yeah, the stuckness isn't as sticky.
isn't as sticky.
Yes, we can be stuck for a couple days, maybe a couple hours, maybe a week, but it's not months. We don't, harbor as long.
Is some of that solution because you're sharing?
Yes.
Is that what's
It's
a lot of
absolutely
it? That's
because
what
of
you're,
sharing,
what you're tying up there.
Yes, yeah. It's absolutely because of communication, and communication is sharing. Yes.
So I think the next question I had, you've kind of talked about already. How do we navigate uncertainty? But it sounds like that's one of the strategies you're using within the groups and sharing.
Yeah, uncertainty, I believe, is just part and parcel of life, because each one of us on this earth lives with that uncertainty of the next minute, the next day, the next week, the next years, right? So uncertainty is part of it. And someone said to me, that's what life looks like when it's working. It means it's
know.
there, it's uncertain. Is there anything you can do? You can plan, you can be, and being in action means being in communication, doing something different, saying something new.
Yes.
One of the things that comes up in my training is, so your mother calls, you have those conversations with your mother and it's basically the same conversation.
Yes,
and you wonder why you're not getting different results.
Right.
We know what that means, right?
Yes.
But saying something newly, and I did recently with her.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
So how was it? So I just changed the subject abruptly with her, which was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so how was it when the day you left Quebec to move to Oshawa? How was that 14-hour trip in the car with Dad?
Okay.
You had just been married. It took on another
whole different palette of
whole different thing. So I tried. It's a hard thing to change the culture of your conversation with people that you have conversations with regularly, right?
Yes, because there's fear and there's uncertainty because you're doing a pattern.
Yeah, and it's safe and it's
safe. Yes.
How are you doing? So how?
Yeah, the how you doing question.
Yeah.
I've mentioned that in a few episodes here. We always say the how you doing, and it sound like I'm Joey from Friends.
Yes,
That's not what I meant.
Yes.
How are you doing? And sometimes it's really meant for a greeting, but other people, because of a connection, if I say how are you doing, I am sort of used to hearing how are you doing, not the
yes,
I'm good.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
A little deeper.
And I've one person recently, I said, do you really want to know?
Oh, yes.
You really want to know?
Clarification. And?
Because if so, I'd like to know about you too.
Yeah.
So right now you look okay, I'm okay, but let's go beyond that.
Yeah, what's underneath?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
That's interesting. So we've talked about some of your career and some of the transition. Here's another question for you. How would you separate your worth from your work? What would you tell people, or how have you practiced that? Would you separate it, or can you see separation?
I think your introduction said it all, and I do believe that your worth is it's related to your self-esteem, right? The value and there's also a sense. Years ago, I participated in an exercise where we had to validate. They suggested we validate with the close network of our life. Because we can respond. If I ask you, what does your brother think of you? What does your neighbor think of you? You probably have an answer, but
Yep.
Yes. However,
Depending on which brother.
yes, me too. However, there might be something new there.
Okay.
That you don't know. And it was to validate how we see ourselves.
Okay, I see. I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah,
Right, how you see yourself.
Yeah, and so I know that And I had to work hard at getting out of that, knot in my life of valuing me as a worker,
Okay, yes.
right? And so I ended up developing. I've got a mission statement, which is to be of service to my community wherever I am, and my community has expanded to a global community as well.
Okay, right.
And so I get value from being that.
Being that.
Yeah, that's
Having that
how I
separation.
see my worth, is being that. And there are days when I'm not being that.
Okay.
I'm
gotcha.
huddled on my recliner watching Netflix.
And doing the
Yeah.
solitude.
And doing, retreating. And then, but looking forward to when I'm
You're back up.
out there.
Your batteries recharge.
Yeah.
Social
yeah,
network.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to move into a little reflection.
Yes, please.
And then I'm very excited to do the 7 questions with you.
Okay.
Ginette. So maybe resilience isn't becoming someone different. Maybe resilience is becoming more fully yourself. Carry your experiences, carry your values, carry your wisdom, carry your hope. But don't carry the belief that your title determines your worth, which Ginette has touched on with us, because your identity is much bigger than your resume. So every episode, Ginette,
Yes.
we do 7 questions
Go
to
ahead.
ground it. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What's one small moment of joy that's been grounding you lately, Ginette?
I have 2 new grandnephews.
Oh, 2.
2 of them almost at the same time.
Oh, wow.
One of them, I'm in communication with the parents, and he finally, he's 1 year old now, and
Oh,
he
yes.
recognized me on the telephone screen.
Oh, on a
And
FaceTime.
I wasn't expecting that emotion. There was just...
And he's 1 year?
Yeah. And he came up to the telephone and, and that was the most recent, unexpected.
Really popped you. Yes, got the heart beating, hey?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Question 2. When you think about resilience, what's a moment you're really proud of?
So I moved here 7 years ago,
Okay.
not knowing anybody.
Nobody at all.
Nobody
Okay.
at all. And I had a 6-month contract with an employer, and it ended, and I was a bit, that rarely happens to me, but I was lost.
At
Felt
lost at that
lost. I went. So I decided the most important person I had met during those first 6 months,
Right.
I invited for coffee. He accepted. I was sure he was.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, he accepted. And I said, I asked him, because he's a busy man, and I asked him, I need to expand
Okay.
my network here. And where should I go? He gave me, you become a member of the Mud Creek Rotary Club, and you become a board member of L'Arche.
That's
I
what you're
did.
still doing.
I did. I knocked on Mud Creek Rotary. They had
Yes.
never seen that. And I basically knocked on L'Arche, and it happened, and it changed my life here. It's like now I'm embedded.
Right. So when you moved here, was the plan to stay, or was that just for that?
Yes,
Or
yes,
it was like
yeah.
a longer term plan to begin
Yeah,
with?
longer term plan.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting that to end after 6. I was hoping, we all hope
Gotcha.
6-month contract.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah.
it didn't, and but that's, that having the courage, because I remember in the past there's things that went wrong.
Yes.
And I did not consult
Right. And you
the
got the
experts.
sharing piece, right?
I did not consult and it would have made a difference. I know it would have. So
That's important.
Yeah.
That's a great, thank you. That was a great linkage back to how
Yes.
that happened. Here's question 3. What helps you recharge when your capacity feels low? And have you started embracing, or are you still pretending everything is fine when quietly Googling career change at 50?
Well, soon it'll be 70, so that's okay, because I'm still working and enjoying it. I would say that, and I always thought that it was maybe the lazy gene in me, we maybe all have a version of that. But when I am in my recliner
The recliner. Okay.
and watching Netflix, let's just say, and Stella, my
yes.
cat, is on me, and I used to think it was, if anyone ever saw me, oh
yes.
my God, what would happen, right?
Yes.
But I always have paper and pen beside me, and I actually am reflecting on either my work,
Yes.
right? And so that allows, I would say that a Kit Kat helps. I'm stuck on them now.
Do you hear that, Kit Kat?
Yes.
Love that. That's great. Question 4, Ginette. Who has helped shape the person you've become? Whether it be one person or others?
Well, do you remember decades ago that poster that said, it takes a community to raise a child?
Yes.
Well, it has taken a community and continues to take a community to raise Ginette, period. Like I have...
Still raising.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have coaching calls, every week. I do some coaching, and when you and I meet, there's always
circle continues.
the circle
Yeah,
continues.
the
Even
conversation picks up.
We talk about work, but we talk about life, and so there's no way.
I would agree with you too. And I find when we have a conversation there, I always find there's a little opening of something like, oh yeah, okay, right. Or a different type of encouragement is slid in from, you'll say something like, oh yeah, I'll go away later. I'm like, yeah, Ginette said that. I think I agree.
Yes, yes,
I agree.
yes.
Here's number 5. What's one lesson, and I think you've touched on this in the conversation, what's one lesson you've learned through change?
Well, I have it in my signature.
Oh.
In my emails.
Yes.
So change is inevitable. Growth is a choice.
Growth is a choice. I love that.
Yeah. So to me, it hasn't always been that in my mind. And I'm looking at the decades again.
Right, yes,
And I'm thinking,
experience in
yeah, the
life.
experience. Change is, it is what it is. And do I choose to do something to go with the flow?
Yeah, your response, right?
Do I choose to wait? One of the yes, that's probably what I've learned the most.
Okay.
Because I'm a little bit, people would say about me that.
Are you validating this?
Yes, I think I am. I'm not just an active person, but I'm present and I'm a little bit flamboyant, and so I tend to react or make decisions quickly. So one of the things I've learned, wait 24, 48, 72 hours.
You just said the rule I follow. That's
Yeah.
what I try to do.
I try, and I ask people to help me try.
I love that.
Yes, so that's one of the things that when we're mad, when we're upset about someone said, and we have that book in our that stuff in our head. I should have said this, and if you let it go, it actually goes.
That's right. You drop it back into your rational mind.
Yes,
So
yes.
"Arr, that's great. That's awesome. Number 6. How do you encourage others who are beginning a new chapter? If someone's moving into a new season, what Do you coach? What would you tell them?
Well,
What's one thing?
the first thing that came to mind was how, I may not say it this way, how can I be of service, but how can I support you? And if, I've done so many chapters. I have done so many
Right.
brand new chapters. And again, I share with them, some of those chapters would have gone better if I
Right.
had shared.
And the sharing.
Share.
That's been important.
Yeah,
that's
it's been
pertinent.
important to me, and inquiring. People seem to be surprised. They say they just got their grandparents for the first time. Let's say
Right.
that's a new chapter because it
Yes.
changes their life
It's the
as
whole dynamic,
right.
yeah.
So I inquire about it. I ask to see pictures of the new grandchild. It's not a big thing, right? But not everybody does it.
No, they don't either.
And in that sharing, they'll say, yeah, but I'm surprised at my, that my daughter-in-law or whatever
Right.
is doing this.
Oh,
And,
okay.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't come out
Right. Otherwise.
otherwise. So for me, it's checking in
Checking in.
how you do. And I've noticed that there's a few people in my life that check in on me.
Okay.
Check in and so how are you doing? Not just how, like you said earlier.
Right. Not that top level.
Yeah, like how are you doing
acknowledgement
because
thing.
of that?
Right. Not just straight acknowledgement.
Yeah.
A little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
Yeah. Tell me
And
more. Yeah.
yeah. So that I think checking in with people and not assuming that everyone else is checking in on them. You don't want to disturb them. Disturb them.
Right. Disturb them. I love that. That's
Yeah.
great. Now, this is usually the question I really like to ask.
Okay.
The seventh one. Ginette, if you could tell your younger self one thing about identity, what would it be?
Oh my God. With the way I was raised, I still don't believe I would have listened. But since you asked the question,
Right. What would you try to tell her?
my value is in who I am
Okay.
as a human being, not what I do.
Not what I do.
So I spent decades of doing a lot,
I can relate. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are, because we're, most of us are raised in such a way that doing is important,
Yep.
right? And accomplishing and,
And productive,
producing,
productive,
being
yeah,
productive.
productive.
And yeah. And I know, I'm lucky my mother's still around.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's so funny. Like, it could be a stand-up comic
I
gig.
bet you it could be,
It could
yes.
be, So how are you? What are you doing? What have you been doing? And basically, what are you going to be doing? And
The script is there.
the script is there. And so now I laugh about it
Yes.
because I realize that throughout all of the doing,
Yes.
have I been Ginette? Well, sometimes you're not because you're acting, you're
Right.
you're playing a role,
Or the people pleasing.
yes,
Or the thing.
yes. You want to look
Want to
good,
fit in
and
and-
fit
yeah.
in, right? And recently, I've noticed that, I'm different when it comes to meetings. I'm a different animal
Different cat arrives.
from other people.
Yeah.
And it's played on me a bit. Why just be like I cannot let it go. There's things to say, there's questions to be asked, there's information to be shared, and because I'm totally present and
Right.
I'm disturbing.
And I would suggest you are also aware of being timely,
Yes.
right? Because I think there's a lot of that is left to
Yes.
whoever. Yes. Well, Ginette, I know we could probably talk all afternoon,
Yes, we could.
but I sincerely appreciate you being here.
Oh, it's my
I want to
pleasure.
thank the Space and Company for hosting the podcast again. I want to thank Alex. So here's my final reflection. If today's conversation spoke to you, remember this. Life will continue to change. Your roles may change. You've talked about that this afternoon. You definitely talked about this one. Your address may change.
Yes.
Your career may change.
Yes.
But your values, your character, your capacity to love, those are things that you carry into each and every season. And then maybe that's where resilience truly lives. This is the Joy and Resilience practice, helping you thrive one story at a time. If today's episode resonated with you, there are 3 simple ways to continue the journey. Join the Drops of Resilience newsletter for weekly encouragement at www.joyandresilience.com. Book a Resilience Reset coaching session if you're ready to invest in your own well-being. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this episode. We're on Spotify and YouTube. Together, we can help more people stay rooted in joy and keep rising in resilience. Remember, resilience isn't something we achieve once. It's something we practice every day. Thanks for practicing with us. Take care of you, and we'll see you on the next episode.